several months ago and some issues we had with them, and we're not sure that our code has been clarified, so I wanted to clarify with you where I was headed with this. Basically, there's some terms that are used in the lighting industry, and they may be confusing to us, but we were trying to restrict the light from going. We have night sky compliance, but you can be night sky compliant and the light can still go straight out. That seems to be an issue with neighbors and other things, so we were trying to direct the light down, and we're coming up with a figure on it. Is that what everybody remembers? So that I make sure I don't go in. We're getting to a point now where some new subdivisions are going to come online, and I want to make sure we purchase lights that are compatible with what we agreed we wanted to do. So
I thought that was an arrow.
That's a street light.
Never mind.
The issue you get into is there are several levels of night sky compliance.
yeah,
You can actually have some uplight at a very small percentage, still be dark sky compliant, depending on who writes it. Cutoff is this: light distribution patterns are how far and how close, and if it's street side and nothing behind, or if it's, and there's all type 1 through 6 type distributions. But
I probably know more than
or I speak a different language sometimes.
Why even have the light in the first place?
Yep.
I mean, there's no sense in having it if it's not going to serve the purpose.
You're right. You're right.
well, we require them over fire hydrants.
Yeah, I mean, they're required for
Fire code,
safety,
so-
public safety and things, but you're right. When you get to a certain light
I would
level,
have lighted fire hydrants.
maybe that's a good idea to come
Just
up
painted with the right paint, that'll glow, I think.
with. We could patent something like that, maybe we would be, but electricity and water don't really.
I will have an issue for potential litigation for executive session, and an issue in executive session on employee issues. I also have 2 issues that Doug's going to address. One's the mountain accord thing that we brought up earlier, and then our potential for an RFP for North Village code revision. So Doug,
Mike, one question about our comptroller. Are you going to report that later?
that's in executive session we talked.
We had our interlocal council meeting up at the Jordanelle several weeks ago, and there was a PowerPoint presentation done that Park City put together. This is kind of an abbreviated version of that, but for all of you who aren't aware, the Mountain Accord has been going on for some time now. It started kind of as a Wasatch Front effort, and that's where a lot of the focus has been directed. And Park City and Summit County got involved, and they kind of got us involved as well. I've been meeting almost weekly with them. If I wanted to, I could probably meet 3 times a week on this. I just can't do it though. But in any event, this is a map of the boundary area, and you can see where I've handwritten in SR 319. Well, I can't read that real well, but over on the right hand, where the boundary right now goes over to the Jordanelle and stays on the west side of Highway 40. And part of the discussion in our interlocal meeting was expanding that. You want to go to the next picture, Craig?
Push the button.
Okay, forward. These are the goals of the Mountain Accord. So there's the four issues that they're trying to address: transportation, environment, economy, and recreation. So the intent is to maintain the transportation and the recreation and the environment. A lot of the people on the Wasatch Front come to the Wasatch back to recreate, and so the intent of the scope of work and the studies that we're doing is to maintain those high levels. This is who's involved in the Wasatch back group. So we've got Summit County, Wasatch County, Park City, Heber, health departments, MAG, the water districts, and we've got state parks, Lori Backus is coming to the meetings and contributing.
You
Yes.
just point out that the Wasatch Back Mountain Accord is nothing but a group within the group. It's a group of the Wasatch Accord,
Right.
or the Mountain Accord group. That their purpose, the purpose of them meeting separately from the larger Mountain Accord is so that they have a unified voice within the Mountain Accord to strengthen their hand within what's happening in Mountain Accord.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it's being dominated by the Wasatch Front, so we kind of mobilize so we have a unified voice so we can go back to the executive board and say, here's what we think needs to be done with the Wasatch Back. Next one. Oh. You might recognize that map. It's just the RSPA map. And when we discussed this at the interlocal meeting, what we were proposing is taking in that east side of Highway 40 and including it in that study area. And there are a lot of reasons to do that. Water quality, the recreation component, transportation, parking, all those issues. To be honest, I'm not sure what we will get out of this. They keep telling me they're going to do studies and we can incorporate those into our code as we're rewriting the RSPA. I'm not sure they'll be specific enough. But that's the question I'm posing to the council tonight is the executive board said we're drawing the line right here on Highway 40. It takes in that west side of Highway 40 and that part of the RSPA, but we don't want to move it further to the east. And if you want to move further to the east, you need to come and present to the executive board and see if they will change that. Another question, and this was shown at the PowerPoint in our meeting, is the transportation. This is kind of a mission statement that came out of all those participants. And this was pointed out in the meeting that they're talking about having multimodal options for transportation, including transit. That includes all options that they look at. Now, these will go to the, as Steve said, these will go to the Mountain Accord and be incorporated into their goals and the Wasatch Back. If these are the goals that are proposed, the Wasatch Back will say, here's our unified direction that we want to take on transportation. So I wanted to point out the multimodal issue that we've discussed in the past and see if those things need to be changed. It wasn't really brought up in our interlocal meeting that we had. Thoughts?
Well, I'm not sure how that'll play into the overall larger Mountain Accord issue because it's really centered around connecting and a mode. They don't know where the point of origin, where it's going to terminate. The terminuses are going to be on this thing, or what method of transportation it will be for the route. But and it could be different forms of transportation. It could be through tunnels, it could be over on lifts, it could be all kinds of different things. But I'm not sure how that would play in specifically for us.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but I didn't want to go to them and have a finished product saying, oh, Wasatch County agrees with transit coming down here if we don't, or any of those.
I guess I would say is that I think the executive committee will then look at what we recommend and then weed out what they feel is applicable to the overall goal of connecting the valley, getting cars out of the canyons, connecting the ski resorts, et cetera, So some of this obviously will play into what their overall arching goal will be, and that's where our unifying hand is helpful. But some of this they'll just carve out and say it's not really applicable for what we're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Got one question, is that where the east side of Highway 40 will come in? I mean, it's almost a little appendage there that will take advantage as it gets close enough.
I think the Wasatch Back would like that involved because again, it could potentially involve, let's say a terminus comes in whatever mode of transportation that's decided. If, let's say the route is from Sandy City to US 40, but that's ultimately the route that's chosen. Could be all kinds of different routes. Nothing set yet. That's the scoping that's being done. There's all kinds of things that have to be done now. But let's say that that's ultimately the route. What they're trying to say is, that's gonna have an effect not only on the west side of that 40, it's gonna have an effect on the east side as well. So let's include in the study area, east side of 40, not just the west side of 40. Because it has an effect there as well. If the terminus is there, we're gonna have to have parking. And maybe the parking's on the west side, or on the east side, not the west side. And so, we're just trying to expand the boundary so that it includes potentially that shoreline, basically shoreline to wherever.
So we ought to probably try to.
I think we ought to fight for it, is what it comes.
Well, and beyond transportation, there's water quality, and the Wasatch Front gets their drinking water through Jordanelle and Deer Creek, and so.
And I don't think, because there's so many players that have a stake in the water that's in the reservoir there, that's on the front side, I think they're gonna be fine with, I think they would be fine with opening up and expanding the area myself.
Yeah, that might be the easier sell is water quality.
I think so.
So that sounds like, I mean, that's a
That's my
suggestion.
recommendation to the board, that we
Jim,
can.
where you at on that? Steve? I'm there, yeah. Okay,
So I think,
take that back to your working group, and then you'll also take it back.
I went to the executive committee.
okay. And Laney from Parametrics said if you want this, then you might need to come and present it to the executive board. If we need to do that, whatever, let me know and we'll do that. And then the next item, we briefly discussed this several weeks ago. Probably all aware that we've got the North Village Code that has needed to be rewritten for years. It's been a problem. Hard time reading that.
Can you zoom in on that?
This is the section of the code on hiring contractors to work for us. I've had Sorensen come to me and some of the other property owners in the North Village and say, look, we need to rewrite this code, we'll pay for it. And I said, in speaking with Mike, I've said, if you're going to do that, we have got to control the process. We've got to get the money in an out-of-pocket account. We're paying the consultant. We are the consultant's client, not you. And they've agreed to that. Going through an RFP for anything over $5,000, the council needs to be in agreement on that. And then when we do select a consultant or narrow it down to a certain number, the council needs to be involved with that as well. So I'm just letting you know that, so if I'm not going down the right road, let me know.
Well, what are the members that are asking for the rewrite? Do they have their own that they want? Do they have somebody in mind already?
Well, I think they do, but what I've told them is we've got to go through the RFP process, the public advertising, and we'll probably have a handful of people, maybe 10 firms that we're going to send this RFP to, as well as the public advertising, and select it. I would select it or in conjunction with you, and Mike can determine who's the best.
Well, that's the goals.
Well, unless we, you know, and I'm just throwing something out, unless we wanted them to do it and pay for it, and then we just review it, you know, after they come back with the proposal, be similar to what we done in the first time.
Well, that was part of the problem. What happened the first time was one or two of the landowners kind of directed the whole thing the way they wanted it to go, and it ended up not working. And so we thought maybe it'd be best if we just let them reimburse the county for the cost. They're willing to do that, but we control the process so that you guys are in the loop of the process the whole way. There's no use getting down this 6-month deal, handing us a bunch of paper, and they say, yeah, we don't like it.
That's not going to work with the smaller landowners are unhappy or.
Yeah, this way, if we control it, we're in the process continually, so we can monitor which direction this is going. Or not.
Does that add, is going this route add so much time? I mean, and I don't know if they're suggesting any zoning amendments or that, but if that's the case, those need to be into us by July. You know, the request has to be in July so that we can act on it by November. this process that, you know, we're talking about here, is that gonna make it then July of next year? If it is, I don't know if that, I don't know that I'm in favor of that. I just assume the process get going sooner than later, so that we could look at it this year.
Yeah, I don't know that it's gonna go any faster, but they're doing it.
And I've talked to,
Should be different.
We should be able to run the same way.
well, it will add some time to this because you have to have 4 to 6 weeks for them to, you know, respond to your RFP. But I really think we want to separate the developer from the consultant and have it be a balance code instead of having it be one-sided just for the developer. And I think we all understand the things that need to be fixed, and we're not saying we're going to fight against you in fixing these problems, but we want to maintain the quality that was initially intended to be there.
Well, and I'm not suggesting that we just accept whatever they recommend. What I'm suggesting is maybe we let them recommend it and then review it and see if it fits what our needs are, and then make the adjustments that.
Yeah. Well, and frankly, as far as the timing is concerned, I've been telling them this for years, and all of a sudden it's a hurry up and get it done. And I told them yesterday when I met with them, I'm working on the Jordanelle code. All of a sudden things
You
are
don't
going
have time
loose.
to do it. I mean,
But-
I agree with that. You're smart enough. I don't think we can.
Yeah, but what I'm saying though is I think it needs to be the county doing it and not the developer. And it may not be this year if we go that route. But I hate to have it another code like what we got in the first place.
How did we get that code? Didn't we just let them do it?
We let
We
Geared
review it?
World do it.
We just adopt it? Mike, I wasn't here.
It's more like that. The big problem we had there was the guy that was writing it was extremely complicated and brainchild, and we kind of let it get away, I think. I mean, we assumed it was going to work, but in practice it doesn't. I kind of agree with Doug, though. If we don't control it from the start, we're going to end up fighting about it. The small owners won't have the input that we can add. I just assume we control it from the start.
I don't want
Even if it
control.
takes longer. Even if it takes longer.
Well, yeah, but you gotta think, I mean, we're in, for a developer or a landowner, we're in pretty good times right now. You take another year, and then maybe things don't work that good. And if it doesn't work that good then, it doesn't work, or for them, it doesn't work that good for us. You know, there's benefits of having the commercial and whatever else we've been talking up there for years. We've never achieved any of it. You know, if we can get some commercial there, I think we ought to try to hurry that along a little bit.
Even though the code though represents November, and I think as we ran this process and we had some reason to go over that, there are things in the code that for reasons that, urgent reasons, we can make
No, we
changes.
can do emergency adjustments.
I think we
constitutes-
could also put an application in for a code revision before July without the details.
Yeah, they could make application now.
They can make applications for those changes before July. before we-
They don't need to have that all done.
No.
They're just subject to it.
Is it under pending ordinance?
It's
It'll
under
be under
pending
pending
ordinance.
Well, if we can do it that way, and then, you know, I'm not saying rush it, but I'm saying, let's get it out. Do we need to advertise for 4 weeks? I mean,
I don't know if we need to go 4 weeks.
there's got to be a limited amount of people that's going to respond anyway.
Well, it's in this code. I think it is a 4-week notice in the, published once a week, 2 consecutive weeks. But we'll go beyond that. There's actually a web page that you can put these on.
Yeah, I mean, we need to get it out there and make sure everybody's aware of it. But I'm saying, I guess what I'm saying is, let's get after it right now, let's not delay it,
Yeah.
in my mind.
The time for me, though, is going to be heavily loaded towards this initial RFP thing because they only reply to me and they only reply in writing and I can only reply in writing. So, you know, I don't know when that will happen, but I'd expedite it as much as I can. But I really think we need to be involved in the process more than we were the first time.
I think we'll find that the biggest delay is going to be from the property owners themselves. That's generally been the case through anything we do. Our responses are fairly quick, the responses back are fairly slow.
Get their input. So we're, first week of May, by the end of the month, we have, the RFP not only out, but the time for 2 weeks. We'd be close to that.
Doubtful. The person that I'm working with, Sorensen, is going on vacation for, I think, a month. I've been reviewing it, but he'll probably need to be back in town. I mean, I can do as much as I can.